The next evidence, and this hadith is weak, but the meaning of it is correct. The hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu marfu'an, and this is a sound hadith reported by Imam Muslim. He said, بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا كما بدأ فطوبى للغرباء. That al-Islam بدأ, I mean started غريبا. Al-gharib is a strange thing, something that is not widespread, something that is not common. So al-Islam بدأ غريبا. This is how al-Islam started, something strange in the lives of the people. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him. The first time when he revealed to him, there was no one on the face of earth, or there's no one upon the deen of Islam, and there was only few people from the people of the book that are still upon the pure religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So this is how Islam started, a strange thing, and then the people start embracing the deen of Islam, one after the other, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to the believers and to the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, and then the deen of Islam became well established. And then وَسَيَعُودُ غَرِيبًا كَمَا بَدَأ. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, and it's going to come back or return back as a stranger thing again, or a strange thing, as it started, as it initiated. And this is from the signs of the hour. فَطُوبَى الْغُرَبَاء. So glad tidings to the غُرَبَاء, those strangers, basically. First of all, we know that from ayat of the Quran and hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give victory to the deen, and the deen will be established, will be perfectly established by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these hadith talks about some things will happen in the day of judgment. And that's why the ghurba, or the strangeness that a person would have as a result of holding fast to the deen of Islam, it doesn't mean that it's going to be forever afterwards. But when it returns to be a strange thing, like for example, the time that we live in, even though there are so many Muslims on the face of earth, but when people feel weak, oppressed, when a person is upon guidance, and the level of ghurba is different levels. If a person is a Muslim versus the kuffar in a place where the kufr or the disbelief is superior and it's widespread, then it shows that strangeness. And if a person is a Muslim among Muslims, but since we heard the definition of al-Islam is the Sunnah and the Sunnah is al-Islam, the more the person try to apply the deen of al-Islam in the proper way, the more that he would feel as a stranger among his people, because the shayateen, the evil things, the desires of the people tend for them to follow their desires, and to be upon the deen of Islam in its perfect way, it requires for the person to oppose one's desire in many ways to be upon what is upright. So a person would find himself like a stranger among his people, among even his loved ones, maybe among his own family. The more the person apply the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and that of course requires for the person to have knowledge, because it's not an objective to be a stranger, but the objective is to be upon the deen of Islam, and to be upon the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and to call others to it. And if that would require for the person to be firm and to be steadfast upon the deen of Islam, and as a result of that people might not like him, it's very simple. Even if you want to try one aspect of the deen, if you're sitting with people and they start backbiting, just a simple act, and this is haram for you to be present in a gathering where they're committing sins. So if you try to correct them or to defend that Muslim that is being backbited, and things like that, people won't like you. Those who you are sitting with, they won't like you, because you're basically like an outcast in that gathering. You're causing them to lose their enjoyment and their fun and things like this. So they would treat you like a stranger. The same thing if you're only person in a building that is making salah on time, you find yourself like a stranger among the people, and they look at you as a strange thing. And it's not because you're a stranger, it's because you're applying the deen of Allah. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what gives the comfort to the believers is Tuba al-Ghuraba. Tuba, glad tidings, whether it's a valley in Jannah for those who are strangers, or in the general statement, Tuba, glad tidings, great rewards is waiting for those who are strangers, and no one can ever imagine how great rewards is. And that's because of their firmness upon the deen and steadfastness upon the deen of Islam and the full submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ explained in many narrations, as it's mentioned before, who are the ghuraba, who are the stranger ones. And النزاع من القبائل, one of which is النزاع من القبائل, those who they come from different tribes and different backgrounds, and what brought them together is the deen of Islam. So their relationship together is because of the deen of Islam, and this is what relieves the person from the strangeness, is to find those who are like him and to associate oneself with them and to help one another for the sake of Allah. It's extremely important for the people of the Sunnah to help one another, to be kind to one another, to have concern towards one another, and not to follow the ways of shaitan, to be enemies to each other, or to slander one another, or to backbite one another. And it shows the weakness of one's submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heart, when this is what happens to the people, those who share the proper belief and the proper way of following the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So we'll stop here inshallah ta'ala, and this evidence number 5, and then we'll continue inshallah ta'ala next time with this same chapter because of the time, and so we'll stop here inshallah.